right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kash, and today I want to share you my stories. And it all started back in March 2020. So this is basically what happens recently. And my journey started when I work in this co-working space before. I was doing events and community on that space. The reason why I do that, of course, because I love people, I love organizing events, I love meeting people. And of course, all of a sudden in March, there's a lot of things happening that we know, that we all know, which is the coronavirus that hits Bali as well at that moment. So with that said, we have to close our space. So at that time I was like, oh my God, what should I do? But I'm super grateful that actually my boss at that time, he still allowed us to do a remote work. So I started doing that for a month, and then turns out there's something in me that I feel like, how about I take this opportunity and then try something new. So at that time, I decided to quit my job. I know at the time as well, it was back in April. I know with the COVID situation that is happening, it's so hard to find a job. But I feel like I listened to myself at that time. This is the right time for you to do it. So I do it. I decided to quit my job, and then I was trying to find what I can do during that time, because of course I'm jobless, and then it's so hard to find a job there here in Bali. So I was thinking, like, what should I do? What should I do? I was so nervous on what is going to be happening in the world. But at some point I was also super happy because I stepped into something new in my life as well. And I'm super excited for that, but of course there's a lot of confusion and a lot of doubt in my life, like, is this the right thing to do, or what is happening? After that, gladly I find a job. I work with one of my friends, making a project, doing this actually with Jennifer. So, and I'm super happy with it. And then also with that, with doing this project, I started to do working remotely, which is the thing that I've been wanting to do a lot of times. I used to work in a co-working space for 3 years, and seeing a lot of people working there, have the possibility of working from anywhere they want, anytime they want, it just inspired me as well to do that as well. So I kind of doing it now with the project that I'm working on, which is super exciting. But you know, those feelings of like doubt and confused, and you know, a little bit of anxiety on what is going to happen, like, is this the right thing to do? It keeps coming back to me. So I was like, oh my God, what is happening? So I was so nervous on what is happening. Well, actually, until that moment when me and Jennifer started to organize an offline events of this tune-in story and sound. It was happening a month ago, and at that time, when I organized these events together with Jennifer, having a lot of speakers coming in, having a lot of people coming back in, and then being in a social environment again after a very long time, it opened up my minds again that actually I really enjoy doing this. It's not something, I mean, before I always took it for granted. I was doing events a lot of times, but after doing these offline events, and then before that, I used to work at home mostly because of the situation with COVID situation. I'm just super grateful that I have those experience again, and I feel so alive. I feel so so much happier after doing that. So I was like, oh my God, is this the thing that I want? Like organizing events, and is it really the things that I want to live with? So thinking about that, I was like, okay, I guess it is. And I started to remember of all the things that I did before when I used to work in this co-working space as a community and events manager, like starting organizing events, building a community, because that's the thing that I like. And I'm super happy that I figuring it out as well after all this long period happening. It's not very long, it's 6 months, but I learned a lot during this 6 months, because when the lockdown happens and you are by yourself at your home, working, cooking, you have some more time to listen to yourself, to reflect on yourself, see what things that you can improve. It opened up a lot of opportunities and a lot of self-awareness in your life as well. And that's actually what happens to me. And after doing that on offline events, I started to think as well, like, should I do another project? Because this is the thing that I've been wanting to do as well, besides the project that I'm working with Jen. So I come up with this idea of, hey, how about, like working by yourself sucks. I'm sorry to say that, but it is. And how about I invited people to just work together and go into a cafe and then work together there and have a networking session, like co-working together. So I come up with this project called Pop-Up Co-working, and I was super excited to do this project as well, because I miss the feeling of being around people. I miss the feeling of co-working, because that's the thing that I've been doing these 3 years, and I just wanted to have that again. So I asked one of my colleague, Auntie, she's one of my colleague from the co-working space as well before, and I tell her like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about this? Do you want to be on board with me with this project? And gladly she said yes. So because me telling that ideas to her and then she's approved about it, I was like, okay, I guess this could work. So I started to ask around. So I decided to post one Insta stories on my Instagram and ask the feedback around the idea. So I share the ideas of doing pop-up co-working to my social media and just get a feedback from the others. I put it on my social and then turns out I got a lot of good feedback at that time. So I was super happy on how it turns out. So I was like, okay, I talked to Auntie at the time. Auntie, so turns out there are a lot of people giving us a lot of good feedback. How are we going to do this? So me and Auntie start to brainstorm a little bit, and then, okay, maybe we need to start partnering up with a couple of restaurants here. So me and Auntie start to go around here in Canggu, Bali, try to find a partner to do a co-working space together. So that's what we did. We found 5 cafe that we partner up with at the moment. So I asked Auntie again, okay, so we have a partner now. So what do we do now? Should we just start do the pop-up co-working, or should we get more feedback? So Auntie was like, hey, how about if we make a lounge events? And at that time we asked on what people want from the pop-up co-working. So I was like, okay, let's do that. And I decided to go to this one place, one restaurant close to here, and then asked him like, hey, so since we partner already, we're thinking to do a launch party here where I will share about my ideas and see if the people like it or not. So we invited a couple of people to join in the launch events. It was just happening actually a week ago. And it turns out we have a lot of people joining. We have 20 people coming in. And at that time, I also present a little bit about the idea that I have in mind. And there are a lot of good feedback around it. And at the end of the session, after I present the ideas, one of the participants even raising up his hands, and he said, "So how about if we could? How about if we start next week?" So I was like, "Oh wow, do you want that early?" And so then me and Auntie discussed a little bit again, like, okay, how we asked all the people who are coming there, like, so who agree with that idea? And then turns out a lot of people are starting raising their hands. So I was super, super excited, but also overwhelmed in the beginning. I was like, okay, so it's happening. So, like the project that I have in mind is kind of there. Um, so it happens, and everyone agreed to join the pop-up co-working, and it happened. So we actually just had our first pop-up co-working yesterday, and all the people who come to the launch event before, they all coming back again to this pop-up co-working yesterday. So we have around like 17 people coming to this event, and it's just so nice. But from this experience, what I learned is just listen to yourself more. Of course, there are a lot of doubts coming in when you have all these ideas in your mind. But when you just put it out there, see what are the feedback from people, and just do it, that's basically what you need, and just see how it goes. I'm still in the beginning of my own project with Auntie right now, doing this pop-up co-working, but it's exciting. It brings me a lot of joy again. It brings me a lot of hopes again. And it all started from the experience that I had this past 6 months. I know it's been shit, it's been crazy situation, but it's fine. You just need to listen more to yourself, see what are the possibilities out there that you can take out of this experience, and just do it. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it can inspire others as well to do the same. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for giving me this opportunity, sharing on this tune-in as well. So yeah, thank you so much.